Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's doing good when you catch this video. It's officially now April. Happy April. The year's going by so fast. I don't know if it feels like that for y'all, but I feel like it's already April. And it does, to me, it feels like new beginnings, especially because March had really good news. As some of you guys seen, I posted my degree getting mailed in to the facultad. Sometime back, they had told me that I had to go out there and get it. And that was stressful, and I was just concerned because I was like, I didn't want to go all the way out there, and because of time and just other issues, and I kind of just kept postponing it. Y'all, seriously, I'm gonna testify on this because I started praying, you guys. I started praying like, God, please, like, make a way for me to go out there and really just have the time. It was either gonna be like right now, en estos, más o menos en esas fechas, o hasta el verano. Y el hecho de viajar, I didn't want to do it. It was something that I would pray like on a daily. I would pray about this on a daily. And finally, y'all, seriously, this is like for real testimony to me. I was driving home, right? And I parked outside, and all of a sudden, I feel like I just knew it was God. And like he let me know that I was gonna get good news about my degree, right, coming in. And it was just this clear, like just very just clear voice, right? I'll just never forget. Y el Señor me dijo ese día, no vas a tener que ir por tu título, va a llegar. Y sentí como que una paz, and I was like, okay, I believe it. Like there was like immediate, like just, I believe it just because when you feel like it's God, right? Like, you know, it's God. And my mind, I think when God speaks to us, we always kind of just want to doubt it a little bit. Like your mind will be like, are you tripping, girl? Like, is this just you talking to yourself? Like, are you just tripping, right? But you gotta trust that your spirit, like that connection with God, right? So it's like, this is somehow it's God's gonna make it work. It's gonna work. I just know it. And then the very next day, I get this message. It was from a fellow friend, like a nurse. It was from a nurse friend. I mean, I messaged them and I gave them my name, and they had it come in like 2 weeks. Honestly, I was just impressed at how fast and how just easy it was, because throughout my whole career, you guys, it was so, getting that degree was just a whole challenge. It took a whole, look, I was, you go them 4 years, right? You graduate after them 4 years, but it took 6 years for me to actually get it, because you have a whole series of just servicio social, so that's 5 years. And I lost like a year or 2 of that. Aparte de ese año de servicio social, fueron como 3, hasta que ya después entrega papeles para una vez que acabe el servicio y todos los requisitos, y es todo un proceso. Pero yo creo que lo que quería compartir es de que de verdad que Dios está con nosotros a través de cada paso, y eso es lo que me animó a poder hacer este video. Like, this really what encouraged me to come on here and not just share the good news, but give you guys just some advice, or I guess, yeah, I mean, ways that you can make things happen out here in Mexico, because it's not as hard as we think it may be, you know what I mean? I know that getting deported, or even moving down, like you moving down, a lot of people just deciding to move down just because of how crazy it is out there in the States. Like, we're not gonna question that. We know that prices are getting crazy expensive, and there's just so many ways that you can make a living out here. And I think that each and every one of us that have been deported can share a different story on this, because we all have a different journey to walk, right? And God has a different purpose for us out here, and there's so many things that you can do out here. I say this a lot. There's hidden treasures in this land. Seriously, this is how I see, and this is how I felt it in the spirit, right? When our natural eyes can't even imagine that there will be a blessing in this land, God says otherwise. And I don't know if it's just faith, the fact that I've had just so much faith, or the fact that there does come a point where you just decide, you make this decision that you're gonna come back up, like you're gonna make it no matter what. And I think that's like the fighter in you that I'm wanting to speak to today. just motivation to be like, you know what, there's just so much more life to live. And when I remember like these 10 years back, when I first decided that I was gonna go to school and get this degree, I think I said this in my very first video on how I was just literally like just dreaming one day in the living room, and everybody had gone to bed, and I just sat there and I was like, God, you know, I know that all my dreams are just not lost, right? And I know that there's still so much more that you can do. Like, I know that I have kids, I'm already married, but I know that there's so much more that you can give me out here. Just give me a chance. And God did. He's wonderful. He'll do it for you. So my very first advice would be to renew your mindset. And this is, y'all, even biblical. It's gonna help you a lot. When I first got here, I struggled a lot with the victim mentality, right? Even though I had brought it upon myself, of course, there was still this people around me, or people around you will probably label you, and they'll make you feel like, oh, you know, there's really nothing out there. At least that's what I went through when I first got here. Even society, like people period, have this idea, right, that you're just not gonna make it. Especially for us deportees, that we don't really have like, we didn't get the chance to like just choose. We didn't get the chance to get ready and just, you know, move out here. So it's kind of just like this drastic change, and that in itself is just so different than when a family decides to move down, or somebody just decides to move down. So I guess that's what I'm getting to. You're gonna have to, maybe you're gonna have struggles that you're gonna see other people completely cool with. I remember especially when I started getting out there and meeting like other deportees, I realized that some people they were happy, like them and their spouses. It was like a whole new life out here. They loved it. And then some other people would take just a really long time to just grieve. I was one of them, right? So having to renew my mindset and really just put things into perspective and say, okay, look, this is what we have. I'm still so very young, which is, I think, what really just helped me. But if I was on the older end, I would still honestly, I think I would just, me agarraba de la gratitud de poder haber estado con mi familia o en el país en el que quise estar por muchos años, y ahora el Señor me está dando una oportunidad de tener algo nuevo, porque a veces pensamos que ya con la edad ya acabó todo. No, hay que renovar nuestra mente y decir, todavía me falta tanto por vivir, tantas metas por cumplir, tanto por hacer. Y Dios pone sueños en nuestros corazones, metas. Hay gente que ha llegado ya a grande edad y se ha abierto negocios, desde taquería hasta barbería, hasta cuando recién abrí el canal hablaba mucho de eso. I used to speak on this a lot because I used to encourage people, and I still do. Whether you do hair, nails, shoot, I don't know, car wash, just anything that you can put out there to your community where you can make money, and not just make money, but I mean, really just connect with others, you know? So my very first advice is that just get rid of just any type of mindset that's gonna hinder your growth, you know, that's gonna stop your growth, and that's gonna keep you from just living life and meeting new people and doing new things, you know? Which would be my second advice, is go out there and meet people. Going back to the culture shock and all this that we have, because it is very different, especially, y'all, I'm gonna get vulnerable with this. As like a Texan, right, or a fellow Texan, I feel as if many times being just brought up with like just different type of cultures, right? Because I got to live in the suburbs where you had the majority of whites, and then once I got older, I moved like to the hood sides of Houston, and I got to just, even being incarcerated or just other situations in which, you know, you become a product of your surroundings. You become a product of your surroundings. So let's say I didn't grow up with many very Mexican things, right? Or just ways, because my parents were so young, and my mom was just immediately like, she loved the American lifestyle. She didn't for once hold on to her Mexican tradition, so it's just so much harder for us. And I get out here, and of course it's hard for me to, it's not that it was hard for me to connect because I had a different background, but it was more because of a lot of the guilt and just shame that I was carrying because I had been incarcerated. And not just that, but it is different. I mean, I hope I don't hurt nobody's feelings, but I know that some of you guys are gonna understand. Being out there and then getting deported and trying to just blend in with people out here can be different. It's not that it's bad. It's not that one is better than the other, which I actually want to just speak on a little bit. I wish I could just make this video longer because I have so much to say on this. Some of the things that us deportees go through when we get here and not really being accepted, not being really just supported, or they even take us as traitors, or that we think we're all that. Like the other day I was actually making memory of this because I ran into this TikTok of this content creator having a hard time out here, and they mentioned that, and then it's so true. Like it gets me thinking, people automatically assume something, right? Or certain things about Americans, or even like Chicanos or Chicano culture. For me, the way that I would say is I got out there and meeting people when I went back to school. That helped me so much. Even though, again, I was a wife, I was a mom, and I was a hustler. Man, for real, because we were on one income. So this is when I really became like a hustler. And it's just good to have goals. This is why I encourage you, even if you're staying home, do a little something, even like un curso de uñas, de algo. No nada más hagas una cosa, aventúrate a varias cosas, porque tal vez tienes más de un talento, ¿sí me entiendes? Entonces yo en esa etapa aprendí que no nada más yo, mi esposo, yo creo que él todavía más que yo desarrolló como que esa habilidad de venta. Nunca lo hubiéramos descubierto if we would have not gone through hard times. Entonces, it was just a season in which we learned how to make money, and that's just what I encourage you to do. It's gonna keep you busy. You're gonna meet people, and by the time you know it, even if at first it feels odd or weird, or like they're not gonna be accepting, look, this is how I see it, right? Once you do have the courage to go out there, and once you really just come around to people and they come around to you, we have to keep in mind that an automatic 20% of the people that you meet is not gonna like you. That's just like a fact, like a scientific fact. Just because not everybody's gonna vibe with everybody, that's just how it is. So it's more just about people's personal just friendships, or personal preferences for friendships, than about you. So do just focus on that neighbor, that friend, that coworker, that whoever is willing to give you that friendship. And I say this too often here, like, if you're a believer, go to church, man. You'll meet some really wonderful people, like some really good friends, for real. So my next advice would be to take the time to grieve the dreams that you did have back home, and replace maybe some of the old dreams that you had with new ones, right? Because you can literally, you guys, literally stay in this place of just being stuck, right? And life is so short. Seriously, I think that it really just is about mindset. And once we take that time to grieve and to let go, I think God replaces a lot of these things with just something new, right? New dreams, new goals, new sometimes when you meet, going back to what I was saying right now, new people. And I'm not saying God's gonna replace old. It sounds kind of bad, right? That God would replace old people with new people, but in many occasions it's gonna be like that. One thing that I always say is pray for God to open doors for you. Ask God for ideas, and ask God to connect you with the right people. And ask God to just give you that wisdom to be able to do what's right with whatever He's already placed in your hand, right? Which is my last advice that I want to get to. I think we make the mistake of waiting for us to have it all together to want to achieve something else, right? Like, let's say you're working a 9 to 5 and you're like, man, I do wish my life would be different. I do want to, start a business. But if we see it like, well, I'm just going to wait until I have money, right? Instead of being like, okay, well, how about I start small? And then if that goes good, maybe I can just go on to the next step, and then you get things going, right? But just do what you can with what you have, right? And this goes for me as well. I do what I can with what I have, and I do the best that I can. Y de ahí se encarga Dios. So you guys, those are just some of my quick tips that I was really just thinking on and hoping that it would bless somebody, because I know that being out here can get lonely. And I know that, especially if you don't have somebody there kind of just encouraging you or telling you which step to take. And maybe you're probably like, yeah, but I still don't really know how things run out here. And you're probably even afraid of going out there and really just seeing if it's gonna work. I know that it can feel scary. It can feel scary at first. But I think God always puts the right people in our path, the people that are gonna help us get to where we need to be. And I can tell you, I can tell you for real. Take it as a testimony, seriously. In every single step of the way, from my very first attempt into taking that exam to, start my first semester in nursing school, to my very last step of getting this degree mailed in, after so many trabas. And, I did have a lot of stumbling blocks, along the way. And there was just a whole lot that, I could have gave up, right? I could have gave up, but God was, every time I asked God for help, He was there. And that's just my best way to encourage you, to not do this alone, and really just use the resources that you have around you. There's so many like scholarships and different types of like government programs that'll help you if you really do decide to go forward with something like getting a degree out here. And sometimes you don't even have to do a 4-year degree. Puedes hacer una carrera técnica como 2 años. Entonces hay universidades donde yo ahorita estoy considerando todavía continuar con un master's degree. But it wouldn't be in nursing, it would be in education, just because that's where I make the most money out here. And eventually, I have other plans. Like, I'm not going to stay where I am forever. Probably not even, I'm probably thinking of just starting something of my own, right? And then just working for maybe high school kids, or just maybe not have that carga, o sea, tal vez no tener la carga de estar trabajando con niños chiquitos. Entonces, todos a la larga tenemos tus propias metas, ¿verdad? Les digo, yo algunas de estas sí pienso como que cambiar un poquito ya mis aires de teaching y irme por otro lado, pero pues hay tanto que podemos hacer aquí todavía. De verdad que México sí tiene muchas oportunidades, de verdad que sí. Tenemos que renovar nuestra mente, siempre se los digo, pero es la verdad. Tenemos que abrir nuestro propio camino. Yo creo que eso donde sea, no matter where you go, you have to make way for yourself, because, ultimately, that's life, period. Anywhere you go, even in the States. And focus on what Mexico does give you rather than what it doesn't. There's gonna be times, when you feel like, mira, te hablo de esos stumbling blocks o de esos, no sé cómo se le llaman, como que challenges o no sé qué. Porque sí hay, vas a tener frustraciones en tu vida. Te lo digo desde ahorita, que uno que antes de acabar el video te lo voy a decir desde ahorita, para que después no te sorprendas. El sistema mexicano sí tiene muchas, es como muy rígido, ¿sí me entiendes? Entonces, a veces te va a pedir requisitos o te va a mandar a hacer trámites que están totalmente, complicados y a veces ineficaces, o no sé. A veces te va a pedir requisitos que ni siquiera van a tener sentido. Por ejemplo, no sé, 1000 cosas que tú piensas que ya tenías todos los requisitos que por fin te está pidiendo la facultad o tu universidad para ya poderte titular, y luego salen con que no, también necesitas esto. Por ejemplo, en mi caso, de que yo tenía que traducir todos mis estudios americanos y apostillar y bueno, toda una serie de cosas, ¿verdad? Y luego mandar a revisar y luego tuvieron que responder. Todavía tuve trámites un poquito más complicados también por esa situación. Entonces, cada quien tiene, ahora sí que es diferente para todos, ¿verdad? Pero sí es algo muy bonito, neta, o sea, vale la pena. Todo lo que vas a detallar, los 4 años y 5 con el servicio social y todo eso, porque sí te va a ayudar mucho a adaptarte aquí. Espero que esta sea la señal de alguien, por si estás considerando. Me acuerdo que fue justo en estas fechas, porque hace como 10 años, que fue en el 2014, cuando entré en the fall of 2014 was when I went back to school. And it was so symbolic, because If I caught my case in the fall of 2004, and exactly 10 years later, I was enrolling like back to school into nursing school in Mexico, right? And my life, of course, being much better now, even then, even these 10 years back. And then exactly 10 years later, um, I mean, or almost 10 years later, right? I get this just wonderful news that I'm finally, all that work pays off, man. I guess that's what I'm getting to. As long as we're willing, there's always gonna be a way, you guys. So that's my best advice on how to stay focused and beat the odds and persevere and do something out here. Be a blessing to those around you and put those gifts to use. Especially if you're in a bigger city, I'm sure there's a lot of more ways that you can make money than just sticking to one thing. So que Dios te abra puertas, que Dios les abra puertas y que los llene de sabiduría y que los conecte con las personas correctas para que puedan avanzar aquí y que puedas comprobar de ti mismo de que no importa dónde estés, te puede ir bien. So anyways, guys, I wanted to end this video. I hope you guys have a blessed day, blessed week, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.